Hi, this is Holly Higbee Jansen, and I teach the Lightroom Quick Start class and the iPhone photography class for the BPSOP community. I've been a photographer my whole life, and I teach workshops for Jansen Photo Expeditions. Today I'm going to show you some Lightroom Quick Start tips to edit an image and get stunning results quickly. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my workflow in Lightroom. I'm really excited about this program. I've been using it for a few years now. But I actually converted over from Photoshop, and I had been using Photoshop exclusively for about 15 years. And because I teach photography and teach Photoshop, I thought it would be important for me to learn Lightroom. And now I'm a convert. So I'll just show you a little bit of my Lightroom flow and how I go through this process. Of course, you can always take my class, the Lightroom Quick Start, and I'll teach you step by step how I go through this process. But on this tape, I just want to talk to you a little bit about how I got this image. So I love the light, the sky, the way everybody looks in this picture. It's my favorite image from our Iceland workshop. And I'll show you where it started. This is where that image started. And usually as you go through your camera roll and you're looking at your raw files and you're thinking, that one, I'm going to throw that one away, I'm going to throw that one away. It's really important to take a look at your histogram. So here's the histogram for this particular picture. And what this is telling me is that there's lots of room in the darks, and there is a little bit of room in the light. So I'm going to be able to have a balanced exposure. This is how I can tell whether or not I want to start to work on this picture, because to me it looks a little blown out. It looks like the darks are underexposed. So that would be my first thing to do as far as working in Lightroom. The first thing I would do with this picture is to see if there's any information in the sky. So I would take my graduated filter and drag this down to see if I can pull out any highlights or any interest in the sky. And as I drop the exposure down, I can see some more definition in the blue sky, and as I start to play with some of the contrast and the highlights. So of course I want to look at highlights because of the very brightness of the clouds. Shadows, there might be some information in the darker shadows there. There's probably no blacks, but you see how it's going to make the blue more intense. Clarity filter, I love. Dehazing will make it a little strong. So I just basically go down through this panel and adjust to where this is going to look the best. And I would hit done for that particular part. Obviously there's some vignetting going on here. That's also something we can remove in Lightroom. So we would take our spot removal tool, and actually I'd grow it to the size of the spot, and I would just swipe over this. And it will sample from another area. You can tell it where to sample from. And if I hit done, it doesn't look too bad actually. And I'll do the same thing down in this lower corner. And it might be a little harder to sample, but that actually looks pretty good. It'll go out and it'll pull what it thinks is similar. So that looks pretty good. I may also want to, of course, I think I'm going to want to remove this person right here and remove this fence post. So I can either take that back into Photoshop, which would actually be the easiest thing to do in using Content Aware, but I can do a couple of things, of course, in Lightroom. I can just crop this down and just remove him. If I want to if I want to do a custom crop, I would make this a custom, I think. There's no reason to have it the exact. So you would unlock this to create our custom crop. So that easily gets rid of Dean, our friend Dean. And then the post, actually you can just crop out the post. So I think I'm pretty happy with that result there. The next thing I do would be to highlight the horse and Mark and Snorri in this picture. So basically I would take my radial filter and I would select the area of the horse's head, and I would make sure that the mask is inverted. So meaning that it would just affect inside the horse and inside the horse's head rather than outside. And then I can go up and selectively adjust the exposure and the contrast and the sharpening on just the horse. And I can actually do the very same thing on Snorri and Mark. So I can just I could just duplicate that, bring that circle over, and that brightens them up a lot. And then maybe I want to pull this down, so I hit the Option key on the Mac and pull it down so it brightens up their all of their clothes, etc. And the other thing I might want to do with this is I might want to try to bring out a little bit more of the sky. So I would again use my radial filter and see if I can really boost that information in the sky there. And that's starting to look a little bit more dramatic. Then the last thing that you do when you're working in Lightroom is you actually will sharpen it. So I would just go down to sharpening. It can be different for every camera, but I usually use my amount of sharpening at about 100. And my radius at about 1, the detail at 25. And then actually I can bring up some noise reduction. You can look at this pre-panel right here to watch your noise reduction. And that's sharpening my image. And then I might go back and kind of review what I've done. And I'm thinking these might need to be a little bit brighter. And same with this shot as well. Brighten them up a little bit more. And I think we have a pretty nice image there if you see it in full size versus the original. I can actually go back and revert to the original, which is this one. So I think that's a quite a difference, and you saw me do it in about 10 minutes, right? So give my Lightroom Quick Start class a try, and you too can be photo editing in a snap with our Lightroom Quick Start. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.